While anxious wives paced Widow's Walk, scanning the horizon, watching the sea, the warmth of the fireside guided their creaking ships past the ever-present lighthouses safely into port. Today as yesterday, these sentinels of safety bring gladness to the hearts of the homing mariners.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Encounter Roleplay on this very fine Friday. Thank you to everyone who stopped by earlier for Dishonored. We are now live with The Haunting of Seawall Orphanage, the exclusive horror TTRPG here on Encounter Roleplay. And mastermind behind this devious setting is, of course, Jonathan Fry. Hi, friend.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for being here tonight. I'm excited to get to play this game again with this awesome group of people. So if you're new, you haven't seen the show before, or you just kind of forgot, I'm Don, and I will be the narrator today. And we're going to be playing an original horror game that's never been played before. It's a collaborative, improvised role-playing game about growing up in a small town, coping with grief, unrelenting evil, and the end of summer. So we're playtesting rules every single week, kind of making changes as we go along. You can check out the game. We keep a World Anvil account for the game, the world and the rules updated. So if anything changes, it's always going to be newest there. You can also let us know on the Discord what you think. If you have any ideas or any questions about the game or even just the campaign, the characters, we'd love to chat with you. That's it for me. I'd just like to go around and before we return to Seawall Orphanage, talk to the cast, see how they're doing, and let them introduce the characters they'll be playing tonight. And let's start with Ray.
Hey, it's Ray. I play Staley. She is a 15-year-old girl, really kind of in the thick of it right now. She's absolutely terrified of everything going on, but trying to keep a brave face on while she goes through it. Yeah, you can catch me over on Twitter at With a Brick. I do a bunch of stuff, and you can find out more about it over there.
Awesome. Let's go right on down to Josh now.
Hey, Don, what's going on? How are you?
Hey, man. I'm great. How are you?
I'm good. I love you, man. You're a really nice guy. Have I ever told you that? Just gonna get my my bonus points in with Don early on because I'm afraid. That's what I am. I'm very, very afraid. It will save me. Just mild compliments. My name is Joshua, aka Roleplayers_TV, and I will be playing Jacob, who is basically me at 16. So yes, he does look this bad, and yes, now I am aware.
Well, thank you for that. I'm looking forward to seeing how Jacob makes it through this one. Let's go on over to Lydia. Hi, Lydia.
Hi, Don. Thanks for having me back again. I'm playing Ren, who, I don't know, she charged her friends on this beach at the lighthouse. She doesn't know what she's doing. I can't wait to find out what happens. This is great. It's going to be fine, Josh. It's going to be fine. If you want to find me on Twitter, I'm at Lydia Heels. You can see me there posting pictures, mostly of my dog, also complaining about healthcare right now. That's pretty much it. Follow for that premium content. Next.
Let's go down to Tommy. Hi, Tommy. How are you doing?
Hi, I'm doing great. Everything is fine. My character who I play, Jay, is totally not alone, injured, in the top of a creepy lighthouse, surrounded by weird shadow things that are like wrapped around him now. Everything's fine. Everything's great. I'm totally not gonna die today at all, ever. Great. It's fine. It is fine, everyone. I don't know what you're talking about.
It's fine. We'll be touching base with Tommy here in just a second, but first let's go on up to Travis.
Hey Don, did you hear that stuff Josh was saying about your mother? People are laughing.
I didn't.
I'm telling you.
Oh wow.
It's bad. But anyway, just getting Josh into trouble. How you doing? I'm producer Trav, and man, I'm playing Merrill Gross, who's heir to the Gross grocery store fortune. He shot Jay in the leg, and then after what Josh's character Jacob pointed a shotgun at him. It came clean.
And after that shit we've done, next time I'm pulling the trigger, buddy.
I thought we had a bonding moment. See, mine was a message of love, and then he pushed me off a lighthouse. So we've got some things to work out. There's some intertension. There's some conflict. But that's good storytelling. So I'm excited about it. And I just hit a guy in the head with a rock. So that's good. And so now back to you. We're going to hand things off to Sting with a cut off his latest album.
Wait, does this make me Sting? Don't stand so close to me, because you might have a virus and I don't want to die.
Social
That's how that shit goes, right? Thank you all.
Exactly how it
I'm super excited. We've got something special coming up next Friday, so keep an eye out for that. And before I forget, because the horror gets intense and I always forget things when we do outros, this weekend on Sunday at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we're raising money for Doctors Without Borders with our monthly meat grinder. So please show up, retweets, likes, just being in chat is support enough. If you do have any spare money at the moment, throw it in and you can help our heroes, whether that is the people in healthcare or the people getting meat ground. Doesn't matter. It all goes to the same place, 100% to them, Doctors Without Borders. With that all said, Past Charlie is going to tell you a little bit about our sponsors tonight. So we'll see you in a moment. Before we begin today's show, I would like to take some time to remind you about our sponsors. Fantasy Grounds, a virtual tabletop of choice. All of the beautiful maps and roles you see tonight are done using Fantasy Grounds, which you can try for free at fantasygrounds.com. You can also get all of your miniatures from Wayland Games. Go to waylandgames.co.uk and get yourself a huge range of D&D, Warhammer and 40k minis for up to 20% off regular retail price. And Tabletop Loot, who sell incredible dice. Go and check them out at tabletoploot.com.
There's just enough light here through the glass that you can see that when it's dark, you're not alone. There are dozens of individuals up here with you. They look like they're dressed in old pilgrim clothes with pale faces. When you turn around, you see them in the mirrors, even more of them, but they're surrounding you on all sides. And the lights come back on and they're gone. And then they go back off, and all of their arms are wrapped around you, a writhing mass of bodies in the dark. And that's where our story ends tonight. And that's where our story begins tonight. So right now it's 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Outside it's a chilly 55 degrees and a storm is coming. Inside the lighthouse, it's much, much colder. Jay, frozen bodies twist, their pale limbs wrapping around you in the dark. You can see the black eyes of these pilgrims staring down at you. You can feel the rough wool and cotton of their ancient clothes against your skin. Pretty Marsh Harbor has many secrets, some of them big, some of them small, a few of them terrifying. Jay, what is one truth about this scene?
I think that there is... So obviously this place has not been maintained well, and I think that this is one of those lighthouses that maybe has one of those, like, there is a bit of just outside of the sort of the glass windows here that are broken. Some of them are broken and whatnot. That just has a little bit of a walkway around the outside of it. And well, the bars that you would normally use to like hold on to that would protect you from going over the edge, they've most of them have rusted over. And it's a little bit dangerous up here.
You can hear the groaning and creaking of old metal straining against the weight of your body and these other bodies maybe that are up there with you, the heavy machinery that's all around. And the windows themselves, with the coming of the storm, you can feel the windows leading outside shaking, rattling, like a slow, constant rhythm. And Jay, the truth that I'm going to add here is that these figures are wrapping themselves around you, grasping at you with their cold hands. Some of them speak. There's a young-looking woman with maybe red hair or brunette hair. Her hair's falling over her face, and it's kind of touching like your forehead just above your eyes, your nose. It's like draped over the front of your face, and you can hear her say to you, "He must be appeased." There's a gruff-looking man with a huge beard, and he's got his arms wrapped around your torso right now. And he says, "He cannot be denied." And then there's an old man who's just sort of hanging back behind this group, peering over their shoulders down at you, smiling. You can see that he only has 2 teeth when his lips part. He says, "The sea is hungry for you, my boy." And you can feel the rattling and shaking of this platform that you're on. What do you do?
What the hell? What the? And I think that Jay's doing that thing where can Jay move, or does he feel
you can attempt to do anything you want. Like these people are grabbing onto you and holding you, but you can try to do whatever you'd like.
Well, Jay has a bad leg, unfortunately, and I think he does the thing, try to like back away, and he stumbles and like falls down on his ass, and is like trying to like push himself away from them, and whether or not that's like out one of the broken windows or not, I think he does fall backwards, sort of out through like a place where there's not a lot of window left, and so he's sort of like out on this very old railing, just on the outside of the the window where they would be able to go outside and wash windows and whatnot. And he's just trying to like crawl and back away from these things while they're grabbing him.
And you scramble back, and you're like right on the edge. And the old man, his smile, his barely 2-toothed smile, grows wider as the other figures begin to crawl out towards the windows, their arms reaching out through the open windows at you. And as you scramble back, you stumble back on the edge, you can feel just nothing behind you. Just this deadly drop, the cold air just rushing over the back of your neck. And right out on the ledge next to you is the book that you grabbed from down at the bottom of the lighthouse, kind of fallen away from your grasp, still just barely within your reach, though you'd have to stretch. These hands continue to reach for you. And Jay, you can see that behind this old man with his hunched over shoulders and his too wide smile, there's something like a red mist, a red fog, and just a shape that's growing greater and greater behind him.
What did Jay read? Jay, he grabbed the book, but he hasn't looked inside of it yet.
That's correct.
So I don't know. I mean, maybe like Jay, like maybe Jay grabs the book and tries to like fling it at them. Because I mean, right now, like that's his thing. He needs to get away from these things, and I think that in doing so, he sort of like yells out. He's like, "Help! Help!" He's trying to like get someone's attention who is hopefully nearby, but he's way up here. But he kind of like flings the book haphazardly at one of these shadows. Maybe at
you reach out. You reach out and grab the book, and you can feel that young red-haired woman's fingers like ice on your wrist as you pull the book back, and then you throw it at the older man. Jake, go ahead and roll me empathy, and this is gonna be a desperate roll.
Not a great roll for me. Not a great stat. I've got a 2 in that.
What is a 2?
Yeah. Oh, that's a 5, I think.
Oh,
yes.
That's a 5.
5.
All right, so that's a success. So you get to name one truth. What happens next?
I think there's something about the book that the shadows can't touch. And so when he flings it at the shadow, so it sort of goes through it, and the shadow sort of disperses around the area where the book was. So like, you know, like if you've ever seen like a gunshot through smoke, where it sort of leaves that like trail of like vacuum essentially. It's kind of like that, and I think that Jay notices that as he sort of flings the book through the center of this thing, the shadow.
You can hear in unison a chorus of hisses from these figures in the dark. As the book flies, they move out of the way. It hits one of the rails of the platform inside the lighthouse and then falls back down onto the platform. They move away from the book, but then they're already starting to coalesce and move towards the window and you. And you have a heartbeat here to do something.
I think Jay's a fairly, and seeing as he's succeeded on that role, he's able to kind of keep his cool a little bit. Hopefully we'll have noticed that, and is now making, like, he doesn't know why. This goes against everything that sort of like Jay's like scientific process, like, you know, like this, none of this makes any sense, but I did this was the result. I need to try this again, and so he is going to scramble. He's going to like lurch forward and like try to crawl as quickly forward as he can, possibly over. There's probably some broken glass in here, old broken glass in here, and rusted stuff. But he's going to scramble forward and try to lunge for that book and get it to him.
You lunge between the hands of the reaching shapes in the dark for the book that's on the platform. You actually move into that red mist as you're reaching for it. And as you do, you can feel it's something like, it's something alien. It's something that doesn't belong inside you is inside of you. As you're there, you're choking on the mist a little bit. You're reaching for the book as the hands are reaching for you, scrambling as quickly as you can. I think you probably cut your hand a little bit over a broken piece of glass. Jay, I need you to roll me a desperate quickness. Quick.
Right. That's better than my grit, so I will take that. I'm rolling 3 dice here. Nope.
Jay, you go to grab the book and you're almost there, but something about this presence that you're feeling, this thing that you don't understand, it's causing you to feel woozy and slow, and you're struggling, pulling yourself one limb at a time towards this book. And then you feel a hard grasp on your right hand and your arm pulls back. And as it does, you're staring up into that heavily bearded, gruff-looking man's face wearing those old settler's clothes. And he's just glowering. His eyes are glowering. And then the light from the lighthouse turns on again, and your face is held right up to that light. It hits you square in the eyes, just this blinding brightness. As you failed a desperate roll, you will lose 1 rank of quickness for the rest of the session, and you have to choose one of the other characters to pass the spotlight off to.
Let's go to Ren. I'm very interested because Jay last session had, in his desperation to flee from this weird, whatever Mr. McGinty was, had sort of like gone to like push Ren towards the lighthouse, but when she didn't do anything, he kind of just brushed her aside. So let's go to Ren.
Yeah, you sort of left her to potentially die or something terrible possibly to happen to her. All right, so we move now to Ren, just to kind of remind us of where Ren is. Ren, you were running away from the lighthouse towards your friends on the beach, and as you were running towards them in this figure that's standing on the shore, Gigi had torn the axe out of the figure's grasp. He's wearing a plastic bag. It looks like a grocery bag over his head with like 2 large holes for eyes. And with his breath, you see the bag go out and suck back in. And you're running towards them in this tense moment. And as you're running, you see the figure along the beach just to your periphery of Miss Toothaker, looking just as she looked the last time you saw her alive, wearing the same clothes the night of Gigi's birthday, just smiling and reaching for you as the water laps up against the shore against her back. You kept running. So as the spotlight comes to you, what I want to know is there a memory that comes to Ren's mind, or is there anything she's thinking or feeling that you want to share with us?
I think that Ren's gut feeling is to stop and to try to talk to Mrs. Toothaker because she wants to help her. But in this moment, full of adrenaline, like she knows deep down that Miss Toothaker is dead, and also Gigi, her roommate, her sister, her best friend, is about to hit this thing with a flaming axe with a bag over its head. She doesn't understand what's going on, and she can't stop. Like, she can't stop herself until she gets to Gigi, because in this moment, she thinks that Gigi's like the one real thing, like, on this beach right now.
Pretty Marsh Harbor has many secrets, some of them big, some of them small, a few of them terrifying. So as we pick up on Ren, Lydia, what's one truth you want to introduce about this scene?
As Ren is running along the beach, the beach is always uneven because it's sand, and it's soft because it's close to where the water's hitting, and she turns her ankle, and it hurts, but she just keeps going. Like, she acknowledges in like her brain that, like, ouch, my ankle hurts, but she just keeps going, and she just keeps running towards Gigi.
And what I'll say, the truth that I'll add, is that as you are running, and it's every other step, right, you can feel that pain shoot up your leg as you put pressure on that ankle, that Ren, you push through and you blow past everyone else straight to Gigi. So Jacob's there, and Meryl's there, and Staley's there, and you were behind all of them, but you run past all of them before any of them have a chance to stop you. So you run towards Gigi. She has this fire axe. It's not flaming, it's just a fire axe. But she has this, this sharp fire axe, this heavy axe in both hands, and she's kind of holding up like it's a baseball bat, like she's about to swing a baseball bat. And this figure got a hole through its chest from where it took a shotgun blast, but it's standing up, and as it stands up, it rolls its shoulders back, and it begins to step straight towards Gigi. But Ren, you can choose what you do first.
It's stepping towards Gigi in like a stance that it's going to hurt her.
Yeah, it looks menacing.
Okay, so Gigi's running straight towards them. She eyes Gigi with the axe in her hand, and she sees this menacing like baghead figure like going towards her, and she full strength, like running, just tries to tackle him, just like flies straight into him.
Ren, as you run towards him,
takes over.
You run towards him, and he's so much larger than you. You can see that where some of his clothes have burned away beneath his raincoat, beneath his he's wearing on his head, just these terrible burn scars on his arms, on his legs, on his torso. And you charge straight towards him. You can't tell if he's looking at you, if he sees anything. And you go to tackle him. I need you to make me a desperate grit roll.
I'm like down to no dice right now, right?
I only get all your dice.
Anyways.
Your grit's 1?
Yeah.
Oh, no. Okay. So now, because you've been given a spotlight, you do, and I'll say this too, so that everybody knows, before you make this roll, because we've updated these rules a little bit. So when you get the spotlight, you may re-roll 1 roll before the end of the session. So you do have a re-roll.
Okay.
You need a 5 or a 6.
Yeah, I do.
And a big shout out and welcome to Jay Britton and his Raiders.
Thank you. Okay, I'm going to try it. I'm going to give it a go. Here we go.
All right.
Oh my god, I got a 5!
Ren, you have narrative control here. What happens? What's one truth?
So I think that the figure doesn't even know what's coming. Ren just comes straight from his side and just tackles him like right into the ocean. And she's screaming like, Gigi, run away. And she's holding his head, his like backed head, like down into the sand, like into the water, into like the shallow waves that's like coming over him, just like screaming at Gigi to run away and to drop the axe. She doesn't know why she's telling her to drop the axe. It just seems like the kid didn't have an axe, but that's what she's doing. She's just trying to hold his head down into the waves.
You all see her knock him back into the ocean, and she pushes his head down. And just a moment later, you all watch as something, a giant clawed limb, the size of a house, rises up out of the ocean. Once again, you can see it just at the edge, lit beneath what little bit of moonlight spills through the coming storm clouds. And that claw rises up out of the ocean and crashes down, and another wave passes by. And as it does, Ren, you're holding this bagged head down from underneath. The water pushes you back. It kind of just knocks you back a little bit. And you have in your hands the bag, but no head. You don't see a body. You're all together now, except for Jay. Any of you can act at any time.
I would like to take an action. As Gigi had been preparing to swing with this axe, reliving baseball practice with her father, and she sees the guy she was about to swing at just disappear from view, and she can hear Ren screaming to her to get rid of the axe and to run. So she swings it as if she was gonna still swing at the guy, but she's gonna release it. She's gonna try and heft it into the waves towards the claw, which she now sees, and seems like a bad thing is coming for her little sister, and she's not down with it. Done.
I love it. Please roll me a grit. This isn't desperate, just roll me grit.
Okay. I rolled a 5 and a 4, so that's a success.
Okay. So you get to name one truth.
Okay, so she releases the axe and slips slightly on the rock she'd been perched on, moving closer down towards Ren, but the axe sails out and it goes deep into the darkness over the ocean towards that claw. How close is the claw? Trying to figure out if I could actually hit this thing or not.
I mean, enough? Throwing it's hard to throw a fire axe, but like it's a solid, like maybe 100 yards out, right? Like it's not right in front of.
All right, so this is the truth: is the axe hits a wave as it's cresting, and it skims, and for a second it looks like it's going to keep going, and then it just kind of disappears into the next wave. And Gigi tumbles down next to her sister.
We don't have an initiative or anything, so this is all free play for all of you.
If Gigi falls down next to me, I mean, Ren's just gonna throw her arms around her, and she's not even crying, and she's not smiling or frowning or anything. She's just completely like stone-faced. She just tackled a guy with a bag on his head and held his head into the waves. This is so much older than she has ever been.
Staley.
I was gonna say, if I'm not mistaken, I was like sitting on my knees, like crouched, like terrified in the sand somewhere. So I think I would get up and see that the immediate threat is gone and just immediately like bolt to the congregation of the group to make sure that everybody is still alive, because she just saw somebody go down. And I'll just collapse like by whoever's still in the sand.
I think you see Gigi kind of turn her head to look for everyone else on the beach now that she's kind of got Ren, but she's in the process of beginning to already get up to grab Ren and to start moving away from this beach, which had been plan number 1 when she left the lighthouse.
Where is the 2 boys? Where are the 2 boys in the midst compared to...
Let's check in on Meryl and Jacob right now.
Meryl chucked the rock, and then the shotgun blast, and then Ray tackled him and drowned him. Yes? Just to recap. Like Meryl's like marveling at Ray, kind of
Ren.
Standing there, or sorry, Ren, sort of standing there acknowledging this she just took care of it, and kind of also half looking for his gun and trying to triangulate where he threw it if we're so close to the cliffs. And he's standing very still and also trying to track where Jacob is.
Jacob is standing there holding a smoking shotgun. Now the second barrel is smoking, and he very calmly uses his thumb to break it. The shells, the spent shells, pop out, and he holds the gun for a moment. He doesn't have any. There's no way he grabbed more ammo. Like, it's all in the bag, which is nowhere nearby. So like he was really out of moves there, but he just sort of stands there and looks for a few moments, and then he takes a few steps over towards, and not really sure what to do or say or how to react to any of this. Very, very sort of detachedly says, "Told you."
Told me that you're going to shoot somebody with a shotgun?
I didn't shoot you.
Yeah, I appreciate that. You shot the guy. That's the guy. That's the guy I was aiming at when, you know. Except
He
you
has
hit
my
him.
knife. He has my knife, and I walk over to get my knife back because he stole my knife last time I saw him.
You going out into the ocean?
Yeah, super cash. I'm like, shock has fully set in for Jacob at this point. Like, he is.
Yeah, Staley would go after him and pull him back in. Like, there's no way she'd let him go out into the freaking ocean.
Staley, he's got my knife. I need my.
No, it's gone. He's gone. You're not getting the knife. Let's go back. And she'll like loop her arm around his arm and try to like bring him back.
Go back where? Where exactly are we gonna go?
Obviously, we have the house, and we can start there and get what we need, and try and find a safer place after. But wait, and then she'll look around and like kind of just do a quick. Where's Jay?
So I want to interject here. So a couple of things. First, Travis, for Merrill, you said he's trying to triangulate if he can find his gun where he threw it off the cliff. You roll me smarts.
Okay. All right, you might have to roll it for me. It's 3.
You have 3 in smarts, and this is just a regular roll. Let's see.
Yeah, I'm having trouble with this stuff.
Oh, that's okay. I gotcha. I rolled 3 6s, so that's cool.
Don rolls immediately rolls the number of the beast.
So Travis, you get to name a truth.
I think he finds his gun, and but everybody's around, you know, and I think anybody who's around sees it too. And
where is it exactly? What's the position?
Well, we're by these cliffs, right? It's not a beach, right? It's
like a rocky beach, not a sandy beach. Yeah.
I think he sees it like far enough down to let's switch that up then far enough down that if he climbed down a little bit, he could get to it. And by the way, did he see the giant crab? Stands to reason that we've all seen a giant crab in the water.
You all saw the giant crab, the claw, several times now.
Okay. Well, with Jacob having not shot him and everyone distracted with the corpse that he knows is not his father, he's just going to take a good long look at the water. He loves the water very much, and it's both beautiful and terrifying, especially at night. And I think he takes a big, deep breath and takes off his jacket and puts a rock on top of it and begins to descend to go collect the nickel-plated .22 that was his dad's, that he stole out of his dad's desk drawer after his father was found drowned on his yacht with his mother. That the estate doesn't know he had.
I want to say a couple of things. Thank you, Raiders. Welcome, Scraticus Academy. We've had some donations too. So Jay, you have an extra dice that you can add to your dice pool at any time. I think we might have some others coming in here too. So Merrill, you climb down this cliffside towards your gun as all this other chaos is happening, and Staley, you whip your head around, trying to figure out where Jay is, trying to hold on to Jacob at the same time. So before I ask you what to roll, I want to know, is this contested? Is Jacob trying to fight Staley, or is he kind of giving up as she's pulling back on him?
I don't think I've got any strength left. Like it's been like emotion has come out in the last 20 minutes, and I don't know what to do. And he just looks to Staley like, where are we gonna go? Where's safe?
I don't have the answers that you want right now, but we're gonna figure it out. And while she's saying this, she's gonna guide him over to like a rock and sit on the rock next to him and just kind of like put her hand on his shoulder and just kind of like rub it gently, even though she knows it's probably not gonna help.
He just starts laughing. Like, this is just the hopelessness of the entire situation. It started to get to that point where it's almost funny. So he just starts laughing to himself about how absolutely fucked we are.
This moment, as you're coming up from the beach, Staley, the light from the lighthouse comes back on and it shoots out over the sea. You can see a large wave, not the claw, just a large wave as the light goes out. Roll me smarts.
Okay.
All right. So you just needed a 4 or higher. You have narrative control. You can introduce one truth.
I think as the light in the lighthouse goes on, she immediately kind of like thinks back to the thought of like, oh, where is Jay? And immediately like truly believes that he's still in the lighthouse. And she'll kind of stand up and just like keeping her hand on Jacob's shoulder. She'll stand up and look for everybody else and just start yelling, Jay's back in the lighthouse. We have to go back. We have to go get him. And she's gonna like try and pull Jacob to start walking back to the lighthouse.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's like for Jacob, just a very casual walk. But he still has the gun. I don't have any more shells for it, but like just walking along.
Let's check in real quick with Ren and Gigi, see what they're doing in this moment as Staley takes off towards the lighthouse, which has just come back on.
I think that the light from the lighthouse would have like startled her enough to snap back into reality and realize like, holy shit, she's on this beach. The lighthouse is on, like she's here with Gigi, which is what she wanted. Like Gigi's safe, and she has this like plastic bag in her hand from this like disgusting like figure that she tried to drown, all coming like over her in a wave. She throws the bag. She doesn't want to touch it. She doesn't want to think about it. And she sees Staley running towards the lighthouse. She sees the lighthouse light come on, and she just knows that she needs to get back with her group. Like they need to get back to the house. They're not safe here. And she just wants to go back and be a kid at the house. She wants to get back home to her room. So she grabs Gigi's hand and she's like, come on, we have to go. And so she pulls her up and she starts chasing after Staley.
Beryl, you climb down. You hear this just as you're getting down the cliff, and the gun's a little bit lower than you.
Yeah. And it's one of those moments where you're about to do something really stupid and you know it, you know, and he knows that the next few feet to actually get this thing in the dark are really stupid. And then, you know, like on the wind, he hears Staley, you know, shout, Jay's in the lighthouse, so we got to go, you know, catch up with him. And Meryl, under his breath, you know, remember putting one in this guy's leg, and, you know, says under his breath, God damn it, and like attempts to ascend and climb back up, and then takes a good look at the gun, which isn't going anywhere, right? It's like nestled somewhere.
Yeah, you can see it.
Yeah, like I can come back for that. I know where it is. All right, fine. And like kick the rock and grab my jacket, with my fist, Frank Miller style. He's got a fistful of jacket, and you're all pissed about it, and stomp through the muddy cliffside back towards the lighthouse, cursing under his breath.
As you start to climb back up to reach the top, you hear another crash of distant thunder, and then the skies open up. The rain begins to pour, and this climb is all of a sudden much slicker than it was before. You can feel immediately your fingers beginning to pull down, slip down as you're trying to dig in and climb back up. I need you to make me a desperate grit roll. Let's just know how much dice you have for the grit.
I have a grit of 5. I'm opening my stuff here, I swear to God.
Grit of 5?
Yes.
All right. So you just need a 5 or a 6. And I'll roll for you here. You got a 2, 2, 4, a 5, and a 5. So that's enough to name a truth. What happens next?
He almost slips, but he makes it up. And he, registers where this thing is. He's going to come back for it later. And grabs his jacket. And I think if I can continue with the truth, I think he runs. I think he picks up his feet and realizes he needs to get there and runs as fast as he can back to the lighthouse to catch up with everybody. Feeling a sense of, responsibility towards recovering Jay.
And not Staley, you'll get there first, and you can see everybody racing behind you. Meryl's in the back, following along. Jacob's right there with you, but you're really driving this run. And the door right now to the lighthouse has been shut. So, do you enter?
I'm going to try and tear that door open, or at least start pounding on it first, and then be like, Jay, and then kind of do one of those like where you knock and try to open at the same time.
It swings open a moment before you touch it. It just opens on its own accord with a gust of wind. You can see the darkness of the bottom floor within. Pretty Marsh Harbor has many secrets, some of them big, some of them small, a few of them terrifying. Ray, we move into the lighthouse. Name one truth about the scene.
As Staley walks inside, she immediately looks up and doesn't see Jay or the figures exactly. She sees like all of these like shapes at like shadows from the light that's glaring. She sees like all these shadows like all along the wall, and for a second she like screams, like audibly screams, and she thinks that there's multiple people in there, and she like starts to panic.
The truth that I'll add is that once you're down here, a couple of bolts rain down from above, like small, inch-long metal bolts, and you can see also that platform above you is shaking violently.
Oh, okay. And then how far is everyone behind me? Would I have known that?
I think you saw they're all following right behind you. So like Jacob's closest, and then it's Ren and Gigi, and then Meryl's coming up behind.
She would just she'd be kind of paralyzed and stand still because she doesn't know if she steps the wrong place, if it's going to collapse or not. But she's gonna call up and just be like, Jay, are you there? Are you up there? Hello? And just like try to make sure that it's him and not some other creepy thing, because she's like freaking out right now.
Roll me a desperate empathy roll.
Okay.
Just needed a 5, so that's enough. As you call up for Jay, you get to name a truth. You get to have narrative control here.
As she calls up, I think that, like, I'm not sure what Jay is actually doing at the moment, but she hears a grunt, or she hears like something that audibly lets her know that she's convinced it's Jay. And she's going to attempt, did he get up like via ladder, or is there a staircase? Like, how did he get up?
It's like a rickety spiral metal staircase, and he had to kind of climb underneath some chains that have barred it off, like a no access sign is on these chains.
She's gonna attempt to try
I was just say, do you mind? I think the sound you hear it's like one of those like laugh cries, like where you're not sure if they're laughing or they're crying, right? And I think that's the sound you hear coming from above.
Okay, she's gonna start climbing up the staircase as gently but as fast as she can, because she wants to try and get there to save Jay. She doesn't see this going very well.
As you do so, I want to go through each person in order and see what they do once they reach the lighthouse. Jacob.
Jacob honestly contemplates getting his bag, which is like got everything in it, and then I think like he keeps thinking about it, but he's like so out of sync with everything's going on around him that like he's like, yeah, I'm gonna go get the bag, and then he realizes he's already walked in with Staley, and it's Staley's like shout of panic that snaps him out of it, and he just grabs her hand like for reassurance, to reassure her, to reassure himself. Something, and he turns to whoever is behind him, and he will take their hand as well and try and lead people up the stairs, like as just like holding hands in unity for reassurance, sort of.
And I think that would be Ren. Does Ren take his hand?
Yeah. The second it's offered, she needs comfort right now.
I love the idea that like Ren is like comforted by this, but Jacob is after the other day in the bathroom. Jacob takes Ren's hand for his own comfort. Like she is like she's a rock at this point, and he just like holds her hand and feels somehow stronger for doing so.
The two of you, as you approach the stairs, having to climb underneath or over, grabbing hands, our clock has ticked over and light is getting dimmer for all of our rolls right now. We have -1 to our dice pulls for any roll moving forward. You can all feel the shakiness of these old stairs beneath your feet. You can see and hear the rattling of that unstable metal platform up above. Gigi, you enter right behind Ren. What do you do?
I close down a million windows so that I can find the right to myself. And I think I squeeze the hand of Ren, and I think Gigi would kind of make sure Ren's being kind of pushed ahead, not dragged behind, making sure Ren is kind of close to someone else, and she'll end up kind of taking the rear, making sure everyone is moving together. And I think as she's kind of gone running across the beach, she's looked for like a rock or something that could be a thrown projectile, something else to defend herself with. Maybe some driftwood. She's not really thinking about it so much as it's like being in the corridor again when Miss Toothache had walked out into the storm. Anything around her could be a weapon, and she's just looking for a likely one.
Oh, yeah. Say that you can find any large piece of, metal. There's like mops and brooms down here. There's a desk, there's like some janitorial equipment set out, whatever you'd like.
So I think they hear, kind of going across the concrete floor, the pebbles or whatever that she'd collected on the run across the beach, and she's now going for one of the mops. And she's kind of shaking off the mop head so that the part that detaches, so that she's just got a stick.
Awesome. And you're following them up the stairs?
I think she's kind of staying behind until everyone is like really gone up the stairs to make sure no one's going to follow. Because if we go upstairs and something follows, then we're trapped. They're trapped up there, kind of thing. So she wants to make sure that we're not in a situation where we're about to be trapped at the top of the stairs with nowhere to go.
Meryl, you enter last, catching up, and I imagine like this was a hard climb and a hard run for Meryl, and you get there, like you see Gigi there with a mop handle broken off, and you see the rest of them climbing these spiral stairs up towards the top of the lighthouse.
Where's Jay? What are you doing? You broke the mop. Where's Jay?
Isn't he with you?
No. You got the guy laying down by the beach, and then you said, heard Staley say Jay's in the lighthouse. I ran in the lighthouse.
And then I think Gigi just starts calling Jay's name. Because that's the child thing to do, is just shout until someone answers you with where they are.
Go ahead and roll me empathy. Remember to take one away. We do have some bonus dice.
Yep.
If people want to use them, just let me know before you roll.
Okay. So I've got empathy 4 on my sheet, which goes down to empathy 3. And I'm not going to use my bonus die right now.
Okay.
I rolled a 1, a 5, and a 6. So that's a success.
All right. So you have narrative control. What is one truth as you're calling up to Jay?
I think someone answers, but it's not Jay. And I think she stops shouting when someone answers and it's not Jay.
It's not one voice, it's many voices that answer. You can all feel a wave of cold. I imagine Staley and those who are climbing the staircase are about halfway up now, these twisting spirals. And it's like a wave of cold pushes down. And with that wave, darkness. What light is provided by the lighthouse up above, for a moment, it's gone. You can feel the hand of the person you're holding, but you can't see them for a moment. And the chorus is a combination of these whispers, these desperate whispers. You're meant for him. You're meant for him. He must be satisfied. And then a scream. Jay, you're hit in the face with this blinding light, and now light is all that you can see. You can feel these hands on you. You do have the book. You do manage to grab onto the book, and for a moment, the hands let go of you as you have this book in your grasp. What is one truth about this scene?
I think that Jay has sort of curled himself around the book. And I think mixed in with the sort of cry laughing that he's doing, he is also, I think his voice has sort of joined in with some of that chanting that he's heard. And that is something that the kids who are heading up the stairs hear. They're heading up, that Jay's voice is part of the chanting that has started.
The truth that I'll add is that when you join in the chanting, even though all you can see is light, you remember other things that you shouldn't remember. You remember torches heading out into the forest, people dressed the way that the figures were dressed, chasing something into the woods late at night. You remember a cave-in, people being trapped, hungry, desperate. You remember a presence inside of them, something alien, something hunger, something recently familiar to you. It's like you're living somebody else's memories for a few moments as you join into this chanting, Jay, and you don't see more than glimpses, but the last of those glimpses is a small cave bathed in moonlight coming down far above through a hole in the ceiling that there's no way to climb up to. It's enough light to show a massacre of bodies, devoured, cannibalized. And you chant and you sing. And it's hard to know, Jay, where you start and where you end. What is yourself and what is this other thing that you've come in contact with? And I need you to roll me a desperate cool check.
Okay. That's normally a 4.
Okay, so
Brought
you have
down
3.
to a 3. I'm gonna use one of my extra dice
One of
here
your 2
to make
bonus
it a
dice.
4.
So you,
Yeah.
cool. You just need a 5 or higher on one of these results.
That's a 6.
You have narrative control, so what is one truth in this moment?
I think that while Jay is experiencing all of this, I think that, there's a part of his brain that will always revert back to his sort of like his fallback, his base state of like, just like meticulous and think things through kind of way, but not in like a, he's not conscious of himself doing it. He's not, this is just like when Jay is struggling real hard with things, like he will in his head like begin to like count very, very innocuous things, right? Like maybe like he'll spill like a box of paper clips and then meticulously count them and put them back in the box. And I think he's sort of mentally doing that to gain control. And I think in doing this, he perhaps gains an insight into this strange, unnatural mist or whatever it is. And I'm not entirely sure what the insight should be. I don't know if you have any ideas on that, Don. What this thing? I think he's able to get a moment of clarity within these visions, right?
Yeah, so I'll add this then, that you recognize that whatever it was that those people in the caves felt inside them is what you're feeling now. The same hunger. And for a moment, that mist that's kind of surrounding you, can't really see it, but you can just feel it. It's the same presence the same entity as that man outside the lighthouse that you ran from, the one with a bag over his head. And the insight that you get is a chanting, because it's what you're chanting. Talk, 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 talk. And that's what the other figures there with you are chanting too. And you know that they're giving praise to Talk. And so are you. Staley, as you are halfway up the stairs with Jacob and Ren now shaking, you can feel the walls of the lighthouse shaking as the storm comes. You can hear the howling of the winds, the beating of the rain against metal. You can hear the chanting from above you, and you recognize Jay's voice as one of several.
Do I see him? Like, am I to the platform that he's at, or am I still climbing?
You can see from where you are, you're like a little over halfway up, but the platform above you that's shaking violently, you can see figures through like the holes, right? Imagine that the metal floor has those little holes in them, so you can kind of see through them, but there's so much light up there with a lighthouse light on that it's hard to see with specificity from below. But it doesn't look like it's just one.
Can I hear the chanting?
Yes. You can even recognize that Jay's voice is among the voices. Okay. You can pick it out.
She's going to squeeze Jacob's hand and like whisper to him. For some reason, she doesn't want these other voices to hear her voice, but she's going to whisper to him and be like, there are other people up there with him. What do we do? Do I just keep going?
Jacob at this point realizes at some point he put the gun down because he's holding your hand in one hand and Ren's hand in the other hand, and he has no idea where the gun is. And he just fucking looks to you and just... Why? Just fucking stupid.
I'm going to let go of his
screams, and I'm going to try and run up the stairs just angrily at...
She's gonna follow and also just start screaming and hoping that the noise will just disperse whatever's going on. She's just gonna go book while.
Charge up the stairs.
So Jacob lets go of Ren's hand too, yeah?
It depends if she starts running. I'm probably still holding Staley's hand.
I mean, if Jacob didn't let go of my hand, I don't think she would have let go.
So he's like pulling you?
I would have just started running too. Like if someone got spooked, it's like a thing where like cats, like if you get spooked and they just like all run together.
And you're all pounding up the stairs, moving around this spiral. Down below, Meryl and Gigi, what are you doing?
Catching my breath.
I think Gigi would check Meryl was uninjured, and then seeing that he's just obviously trying to get a hold of his breath, she's just staring hard down that beach, terrified that the crab is going to come out of the water, listening to what is going on overhead and not wanting to run towards it. And I think she's shouting for Ren to come down. They need to go home. And I think it's just over and over, we need to go home.
You're kind of looking from the beach up and yelling, and then looking back to the beach. And every time you look at the beach, you think you see something out there. And then it's just a crash of a wave. The crash of a wave, and you're screaming up. You can just hear the chanting, but it's too quiet. It's too muffled to really know what it is. Gigi, roll me a desperate smarts.
I see you looking out the door. I'm like, I saw it too, you know. thing in the water.
Uh-huh.
It's
I have
beautiful.
1 die. Oh, there's a 5.
You only have. Okay. So you get to name a here in this moment as you're looking out and yelling up, looking out, yelling up.
So yeah, I actually have 2 in that pool, but we're down to 1 because of the time thing.
That's right, yeah.
So I think her truth is gonna be that she reaches a decision and she's gonna forcefully tell Meryl that he needs to go and get the others, and she is gonna find amongst the debris of things here one of those really old torches, the really blocky ones that weigh like 3,000 pounds for no apparent reason, and she manages to get that to work so that she has a light for the way home.
Mag light.
So that's what she does. She tells Meryl to go and get the others because we're going home, and she finds this torch. Or a flashlight for Americans.
Why are they all climbing up there?
Go get them! We need to go home.
Go get them.
Now! Yes!
All right. I'm gonna go get them. Make sure nobody sneaks up behind us. Chops us up with an axe. If you see a crab, shout giant crab. Here I go. And he like starts double timing the stairs, taking the stairs 2 at a time, bucking the handrails. And this is something you can do when you're in high school, by the way. It's just like just rush going upstairs 2 at a time.
I remember the days. So you begin double timing up the stairs, trying to catch up. You're using, your arms, your legs. They hit the top. And as all of you reach the top, besides Meryl, who's about halfway up, you get to the top, and what you see is this red fog. It's kind of dispersed partially, but moving and swirling around in unnatural shapes amidst this light. You don't see anybody else up here but Jay, kind of in the middle of this fog as you get up there, Staley, Jacob, and Ren. And Jay is kneeling. He's got this old leather book in his hands, and he's just kind of swaying back and forth and chanting. Jay, you still only see light right now. And Staley, you get to the top with Ren and Jacob. Jacob's like pulling you up to the top.
If everybody like stops cold when we get to the top of the stairs and we see like Jay surrounded with this red fog, I think that Ren's first instinct would to be very calmly be like, Jay, how's your leg?
Tuck. 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 And Jay is just rocking back and forth, like on the ground, like curled around this book. You can see that there's like one of his hands is definitely like red and bleeding.
Daly is going to throw herself on top of him and just like try to like shield him, like human shield him, just like lay on top of him and see if that, like if he stops chanting and if they can't get to him anymore.
While Staley goes to jump on him, I want to go for the book.
Okay. So here's what I'll say then, because we don't really do contested roles normally, but if it would be a contest, for instance, we have kind of 2 right now, and the first one is Ren. So Ren, how exactly are you approaching?
I didn't approach. I just stood there very calmly and asked how his leg was, and when he said tack, I probably would have gone to like bury my face in Jacob, and because like I'm freaking out, and if Meryl's coming up the stairs and I can hear someone coming up the stairs, I don't know who it is, but I just immediately know that like I can't look at this because I'm terrified. So I would just like launch myself into that person for like comfort and to hide my face.
So you're like waiting for Meryl to catch up, and Staley, you go to Jay. Roll me a desperate empathy check. Remember, you have -1 to your dice pool right now.
Okay.
And chat.
Is it empathy?
Advice.
Empathy.
Okay. Okay. I have 4, so I'm going to just keep it.
You get to name a truth here as you reach Jay.
I think that as I go to human shield him, he's rocking back and forth, but I like push him over, and in pushing him over, he releases the book, which kind of scoots out, and that's how Jacob is able to grab the book, and I like fall over him and try to like I said, just human shield him.
The truth that I'll add here, I'll let Tommy decide what Jay's state of mind or whatnot is. But the truth that I'll add here is that when the book leaves his hands, the mist disperses. The light from the lighthouse, which is very hard, it's very difficult to see Jay. He's like just this silhouette rocking back and forth, this bright light right in his face. That light dims, it flickers a little bit, and then goes out as the book slides across the floor. And as that fog around Jay begins to disperse a little bit, I want to know, what does Jay do?
I think that Jay's just, no! And he's like tries to scramble around and like find the book, but he can't see right now because he's temporarily blind from the light, and he's looking, where's the, give me back the book, give it back. It's the only thing that stops them from coming.
It stops them from coming. They all just disappeared. What? You were chanting and swaying. No, you're not getting the book back. What's wrong with you?
Where is it?
Done.
Don't worry
Jay's
about
just
that. We're going
frantically
home.
trying to like scrabble on the ground and find this book.
You can feel your eyes burning too now. Jacob?
I would like to punt the book off the ledge, just as hard as I physically can.
Absolutely. Yeah, you kick the book and you see it fly over the platform. Gigi, you would see this book just coming down from below. As Meryl, you're almost up to the top of these stairs now, and you can see Ren there at the top, and she's kind of like reaching out for you. She's kind of not wanting to look at what's going on over here. The lights go out. The book gets kicked off the edge. Meryl, roll me a desperate smarts roll. Know what your rank is right now.
You're muted.
I got a 4 and a 3.
So you'll have -1 to your smarts rank for the rest of the session. And with that failure, what I'll say isn't that you don't recognize it's happening, it's that you didn't notice it was happening sooner, but the shaking of the platform has become worse, and all of a sudden there's a rip as a metal support bar snaps and the entire platform begins to fall. Everyone begins to shift down the platform. Ren is right in front of you. You're up near the top, almost there. I need to know what, who you want to pass the spotlight off to.
I want to say, who I want to pass the spotlight off to? I want to pass it off to Jacob, who's like right in the middle of all this. Meryl needs to get Ren out and back to Gigi and moves to do that. But I pass it to Jacob.
Yeah. So I just want to know, spotlight on Jacob, as everything begins to move, and we'll resolve all this here in a moment. Memories, feeling, thinking.
Yeah. There is a moment. There's that lurch. It's that moment where you feel like you're about to fall back on your chair, or something spikes your adrenaline as you're just about to fall asleep, and suddenly you're hyper alert. You don't know why. That moment where like the platform lurches, and for a second he's not there. He is standing at the top of a cliff. He's not even here. This isn't even the island. This is back in the south of England, and he is there for a surfing holiday with his family, which he doesn't want to be part of. And his mother was always too busy to really be part of that. She was always on the phone, but like this was a rare moment where the two of them got to stand together. They went for a walk. Everyone else in the family was playing on the beach, and the two of them went for a walk. And she didn't have her phone with her because there was no signal. So for once, she wasn't working, and they were just standing side by side, looking over at the sea. And what he remembers most from that moment is it's one of the few moments he has from his mother that he really clings to, but at the same time, it's just, he remembers her saying something that at the time he didn't realize was like a very dangerous thing to say, and it was shortly before she passed, and he has always wondered if he caught it earlier with his mum, would she be okay? Would she have recovered from her depression, and would she not have gone the way she did? And it's something about, she says something about like how easy it would be to fall that distance. And he's looking over the edge of this cliff face and thinking to himself, you know, it would be very easy to fall a very long way. And for an instant, it's easy to just step off and leave everything behind. It's a stressful time. It almost, for a moment, looks like a way out. And then there's that crashing realization of he is not alone up here. And his friends are here. And shit, even Jay is here. And he cares about Jay in that moment. Like, all of them, like, with, like, a burning, furious anger that they are in danger, that any of this is happening. It's just not fair. It's irrational. It goes against everything we've ever been told or taught our entire life. And he just freaks the fuck out. And I would like to try and push. I have Staley's arm still, and Ren's arm still. I want to push them back off the platform that is falling onto the stairs and try and get them so they don't fall with us. That's what I want to do.
All right. We'll resolve this and Meryl here in a second. I want to, for just a moment, touch on Jay and then Gigi. Jay, you're scrambling around. That presence that you felt inside of you, maybe it's still there, maybe it's not, maybe it's just faded, maybe it's hiding. But as you're scrambling around looking for that book, all of a sudden you feel gravity drop out of the bottom of your stomach and you slide down on this platform as it begins to fall. And it's one of those things where one side of it falls and then it snaps back up for a second and it's just kind of shaking there. But you're sliding and you catch yourself for a moment, and through the windows, the light from outside dim, it's really hard to see anything, but you can kind of just make out people You're not sure if they're your friends or if they're other figures. You can hear them. You can hear all the scrambling, but it's just like little blips on your vision. And then something, maybe a piece of machinery or a box, slides down and it crashes right into you, Jay, and rolls off of you and falls off of the platform. And you're kind of here at the bottom as all the others are up above you trying to get to the stairs. Jay, what do you do?
So I can kind of tell that there are other people. So I can kind of tell that there are my friends up here. And they're all more towards the stairs at the moment. But you said did I see, now the figures I saw up above, were those the shadowy figures that I saw earlier?
You're not blind.
Or do I not know?
But yeah, you just like,
it's
you
just
barely
all fuzzy,
have.
right? It's
That's
just all
right,
fuzzy. Yeah. I think Jay is going to try, and if it hasn't completely fallen out yet, he's going to try to scramble up to the edge and try to like make it to the edge of the thing where, like, you know, the sort of back to where the outside railing is of the lighthouse, which hopefully, if I roll well, isn't falling as well. So like trying to go through back through the window, back to the outside railing. And that is that the direction that I see shapes as well, figures.
You could, I think, without a roll, I would say you could at least see the light, right? You like through the window. If you see any light at all, it must be through the window.
Yeah. Okay, then Jay's just trying to scramble for that.
All right, Gigi, you're down below, and you see first the light go off, the book come flying down. It slams, this old leather book, right down to your right as you kind of have the mop in your hand, and then the platform. You can hear it, just the shredding, the ripping of metal, and you can see the platform drop. Things begin to fall off of it. It's continuing to shake, and the entire building is quivering. What do you do?
So I think as she's kind of looking up because she's following Meryl going, so she's a little bit dazzled by the brightness of that lighthouse light, and then there's something falling and the light goes out, so she's trying to see, and she's, you know, it's that light to dark thing, and she's like squinting at the thing that's fallen, and then the rail's going and there's more shit falling, and she lurches forward as if she's going to go up to try and get to people, and then realizes that's probably a really bad idea. And so she kind of runs out and onto the beach to see if she can see better what is happening out there. Mop handle in one hand, the flashlight in the other. She kind of goes running out, and she's kind of like, a new beam of light is just kind of going across, and she's calling out to her friends. You know, are you okay? And just panicking and running backwards and forwards, but trying to steer clear of the drop zone for debris.
All right. Before we start resolving all this, the last person I want to check in on right now is Staley. Jacob is trying to pull Staley towards the stairs, and Ren is right there, and Meryl is trying to reach out and grab Ren as well. Staley, you see, though, Jay stop what he's doing. He turns and he starts scrambling up from lower on the platform, not towards the stairs, but towards this window, this broken window of the lighthouse where there's a little ledge. And you can see an old toolbox that falls over, and some of the tools spill out and crash into Jay on their way spilling down below. What does Staley do?
How far away is Jay from me currently? Like, is he like? Is it us on the stairs, the platform, and then the windows on the opposite side?
Say that, imagine that he's like a 6 foot down on the slant,
okay,
and the stairs are to your left. And a little bit further to your right is this broken window along the wall.
If Staley is within a distance to toss a hand out to try and help him, I think she would. However, if it seems too precarious or if it's too far away, she's just going to stay on the stairs and try to start moving downwards, because she sees that not only Jacob is next to her, but Ren is next to her, and she doesn't want to put anybody else in danger. So depending on the proximity, she'll either...
I'll tell you this. It's a risk. Trying to help Jay is a risk.
She's going to start pushing Jacob and Ren down the stairs so that they can get to safety, but she is going to take the risk and try to help Jay. But she's going to force Jacob and Ren to move downstairs.
All right. Let's start resolving these roles. We're going to start with Meryl. So what's Meryl do? And I'll, as all this is going down, and Ren's closest to you, and then I'll have you make a roll.
He recognizes the red mist as what he saw in the hall right before he blacked out at the hospital. Not going anywhere near that damn thing, and sees Staley charge in, and under his breath is like, she's going to get herself killed. And I like help Ren down. I'm like, Gigi's waiting for you at the bottom. And I like look at Jacob, and I'm like, she's going to get herself killed. We are out of here. This is all going to fall down. We're all going to die. It's time to go.
I scoop up Ren and run.
Ren, do you allow yourself to be scooped up? Do you do anything to fight or to try to do anything else?
No, I allow it, but I also scream for Meryl and Staley to follow. Like, just desperately, just like, please, please, please.
Is Meryl also going back down the stairs?
I want to linger until the absolute last second. This is
always works.
Should he jump, and is there anything he can do at the very last minute? And then as soon as he figures out that there is nothing he can do, he is bailing.
So it's Jacob and Ren running down the stairs first. Ren in Jacob's arms. Josh, then I need you to make me a desperate quick roll.
I'm going to add
you have a
one of my
reroll.
dice.
Okay.
Yeah. So that is 3. And I would take my reroll. I would do it now.
All right.
Okay. Right.
Only
reroll 2. Yeah.
Time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had a feeling you were
need
going to say
five.
that.
Just enough. So you get to name a truth as you're running down with Ren on these rickety circular stairs to get to the bottom, and this entire thing above you is continuing to shake and fall apart. What is one thing that is true, Josh?
Don, I'm not saying that I am. Not saying that I hold a grudge. But remember earlier when Travis said all that horrible stuff about me that wasn't true, that I said to you and tried to get me in trouble? As I'm running. Yeah. As I'm running, part of the stairs break behind me, meaning that me and Ren make it, and then there's like at least 1.5 meters gap in the stairs now. It's still jumpable, but it just leaves like this rickety platform, half broken. I will say that in the process, Jacob gets a little injured, something slices into his calf, but he manages to keep running as like just it starts to collapse.
And so this happens right behind you, Meryl, as you're trying to hang on for the last moment and you're like trying to decide what to do as Staley's going for Jay and Jay's going for the window. The stairs behind you break and the level below you just drops down about 10 feet. You would have to make a 10-foot jump down and manage to catch these stairs and not fall off to get down. And Jay is continuing to climb up to the window. Staley, you've decided to go down for Jay. How do you try to get to him, and what do you try to do? What is your goal here, Staley?
I just want to pull him to the stairs. I just want to pull him to safety so he's not sliding down the platform anymore.
Okay. So you're trying to like grab him and pull him up as he's trying to climb up?
Yeah.
So Jay, you're climbing up and you feel this presence above you, and two hands grab your wrists, and for a moment it reminds you of those figures in the dark that were wrapping their bodies around you. But these hands aren't cold, they're warm. Staley, do you say anything to Jay?
I say, hey, it's Staley. Please, we have to get out of here. This place is going to collapse. And I will just try and hold him up.
Jay, how do you respond?
I think that there is an initial flinch from the contact, but I think I'm gonna go sort of based on a roll from earlier that he succeeded, that he's not so out of his mind that he's just gonna like refuse help to not die here. And I think he'll go whatever way the arms are pulling him. And he doesn't like, I mean, for a moment before Staley talks, he's not sure whether or not that it's someone he knows or one of the shadows. But he doesn't care for that moment. And then he hears Staley, and there is relief in that. But right now he's just in complete, like, I'm going to die, I need to not die mode.
Staley, please roll me a desperate grit. You're trying to pull him up against gravity.
Okay, I'm going to use one of my bonus die.
To
so it'll be
cancel
at
out
3.
Okay.
Yeah.
Jacob and Ren, you are getting to the bottom of the stairs. You're running down to the bottom of the stairs. Meryl, what are you doing? What choice do you make here?
Like, how far away from Meryl on the part of the platform he's on? How far away from him are Staley and Jay?
Probably like 8 feet. You know, they like you're right at the top of the stairs, and they're on the platform, which is slanting down, and she's climbing down and trying to pull Jay up to the window.
Okay. All right. I'm going to run to help her if I can, and, you know, start shouting angrily at Jay. You know, that's great that you and the devil are pals now, but it is time to pick yourself up and move, Marines. We are leaving.
As you run towards Staley and Staley's pulling Jay up, Jay begins to slip out of your grasp and slide back down Staley, and then you reach out and you re-grip his arm with your other hand. You have to stretch a little bit to do so. And the truth that I'll introduce for the desperate failed roll is that that little stretch and that extra weight from Meryl coming out onto the platform, it all comes down. The three of you are on top of this platform and wreckage of metal that's bending and crashing and reshaping as it falls down towards the base of the lighthouse. Jacob, you run out of the lighthouse with Ren in your arms just a moment before this thing collapses behind you, the force of it smashing into the ground, throwing you forward towards Gigi, who's out on the rocky beach screaming for her friends. But that's where we're going to take a little break. We'll be right back here in a few minutes.
And we're back.
The year is 2020, 10 years after the most fateful summer of all of your lives. The lives of everyone who lived in Pretty Marsh Harbor. You've forgotten so much of that summer. Maybe you locked the memories away deep down inside your gut. Maybe you willed yourself to forget the terrible things you witnessed. But recently, those memories have started to return to you. Everything that's happened so far in the game, and all of our previous sessions, including this session, you remember those events now. But you don't recall what happened after, other than one single thing. You remember that you all promised to return here in January of 2020 to the Lighthouse on this day. You promised you would reunite. It's a cold winter morning, and drifts up to 2 feet of snow blanket the earth. The sea smells like salt and something else, something sad. It crashes violently against the frozen shore. As each of you returns to the spot from wherever you've traveled from, some further than others, our clock ticks over. We lose another dice from our dice pool as we enter the final hour of our game. And you know 2 things. The island is a ghost town now, full of dilapidated and abandoned buildings. You're not sure if anyone even lives there at all now, as you had to pass through the town to reach the lighthouse. And the lighthouse itself has fallen, and skeletal remains reach out of the snow, a ruin of icy stone. Gigi, let's start with you. Let's say that Gigi returns to this spot first. We'll open the scene the same way we open all scenes. Pretty Marsh Harbor has many secrets. Some of them big, some of them small, a few of them terrifying. Gigi, what is one truth about this scene?
One truth about this scene is that as Gigi pulls up to the top of the beach in her car, on the seat next to her are the deeds for the lighthouse. That very recently she made a purchase of the land on which this crumbling ruin stands, and she is now the owner of this fallen shell. But she hasn't been back to see it in all this time. And as she sees it and stares out, the way the walkway broke is twisted, and it almost appears crab-like, like a claw, kind of gripping at what remains of the crumbling tower. And she shivers, but she doesn't remember seeing the claw out in the ocean. That's just a children's story.
Gigi, the truth that I'll add to the scene is that the deed to the lighthouse, you signed it, you paid for it. You were supposed to get the signature of the person who sold it to you, a Lyle Dupree. It had an address that you were supposed to go to meet with him in town, just on the edge of town. And when you go to the address, before you arrive to the lighthouse, the house is burned down, just a scorched remain. Looked like it had happened long ago, and you weren't able to locate a Lyle Dupree anywhere. You didn't see anybody in town. So you paid for the land, you've signed the contract, but there's still a signature left to find. And you arrive to the beach.
Under her breath, she kind of just mutters to herself, "Finders keepers, I guess."
You arrive to the beach in your car, and you're looking out over this high snow that hasn't really been plowed. And you can see the remains, you can see the ocean crashing into the shore. Nobody else here yet. You're the first. You're not sure if anybody else will even come. What does Gigi do, or what does she think?
She is wondering if they will turn up, and she opens up the glove compartment on the passenger's side and pulls out this little black notebook. And inside, it's kind of well worn and a few of the pages are ripped, but she flicks through, and in it is a list of all of her siblings from the orphanage's names and addresses. And as she kind of flicks through the pages, you can see that the names and addresses have been rewritten several times, and that she's basically tracked her siblings over the years and managed to keep up with where they were and where they are. But I think we see that under Merrill's, there's currently a big crossings out and then a question mark in red ink. And she takes this little black book and she tucks it into the inner pocket of her smartly tailored jacket, grabs her sunglasses, steps out of the car, and walks down to the beach, hands in pockets. We can't hear you, Don.
You walk down to the beach alone. You can feel the bitter, tearing wind against your face. Let's have Ren arrive next. So Ren, you arrived to the Lighthouse knowing that this is where you're supposed to meet 10 years from now, or 10 years from that summer. You don't remember much about the summer, only what's happened in game. And as you arrive, I want to know, what does Ren look like now? How is she different than she was 10 years ago?
Ren is different in the sense that she looks a little bit older. She doesn't really probably look as old as she is. She doesn't wear glasses anymore. She got contacts. She's 24 now. Still kind of a plain Jane. No like defining features, nothing special, nothing that you would remember. But Ren knows that she is to come here 10 years from now. As she gets to the beach and she sees the lighthouse, I think that all she can think about is it's just Jacob running her down those stairs. And like the fear that she felt and like the sadness that she felt and just how scary that entire night was for her. It's all a blur except for that.
And does she arrive by car? Has she walked from town?
She walked from town. She probably, just based on habit, parked at the orphanage or close by and walked to the beach. She's just a creature of habit. Ren and her, after she left the orphanage, after she went away to college, she became a teacher. She always liked kids. She wants to help out those. So I think that she just always kind of thinks like that. She parked at the orphanage and just walked to the beach like she would have any other time.
So you've walked through these 1 to 2 foot snow drifts, and your clothes have collected the falling snow of this kind of light, this light blizzard, and you can feel the cold down into your bones as you get to the beach finally, and leaving your car behind at the orphanage. Unlike a lot of the buildings in town, the orphanage still appears almost exactly like it was in your memory. Except that there were no lights on inside. You're not sure if anybody still lives there, but the building itself looks exactly the same. And you walk down to the beach, and as you reach the beach, you see Gigi walking with her hands in her pockets, wandering down towards the shore.
I think that she'd stand there for a minute and she'd watch Gigi walking and just try to take in the moment of getting to see Gigi again for the first time in so long.
Let's bring in Jay. Jay, let us know how you arrived at the lighthouse and what's different or what looks different about Jay. Anything you want to share right now?
So Jay, Jay has he arrives. He's got like a tinted window, Land Rover SUV that shows up, and he's not the one driving. Jay has a driver, because when Jay gets out, something a lot of people notice is that he's got sort of this slight. He's got this slight sort of exoskeleton contraption around the leg that had been shot and then consequently partially crushed in the accident of the Lighthouse, which has left him with a severe limp in that leg. But this little contraption that he himself has made for his leg is something that he had worked on in college, eventually patented, and all that. And he's definitely a lot messier looking than he used to be. His hair is grown out. It's a little bit shaggier. He leaves it down. He's got a bit of a scruff going on the face, and he just looks tired. The driver doesn't get out of the car, though, when Jay exits from the back row. And Jay sort of slowly but steadily limps down. He doesn't need, thanks to this exoskeleton he's built, he doesn't need a cane, but he has to go a little slower than he would have been able to. And he walks up and he pulls out a pack of cigarettes and lights a cigarette as he walks down to the beach.
And Jay, what I'll say too is that I think in the car ride over from town, all of you have been getting these memories back very recently. And in the car ride is where you remember the Lighthouse, everything that happened at the Lighthouse. You even remember falling. You don't remember what happened after that, but it's your first time remembering that. And you step out into the snow with your device strapped to your leg, the one that helps you walk, and it's slick on the ground. It's hard to walk through this environment, even with the device. And you almost slip for a moment, and then you look up and you can see ahead of you Ren. You recognize her, older, but you recognize her standing there just looking out over the shore. And then closer down near the bottom of the shore, you see Gigi walking with her hands in her pocket.
Jay hasn't really kept up with anyone. He has begrudgingly, occasionally, probably, like I imagine Gigi would somehow get in contact with him just so that she could update his contact info. And Jay would, do it just so that she would stop annoying him about it. But otherwise, he has not really kept up with anyone. And he just sort of sighs and makes his way down to the beach.
Let's introduce Staley. So Staley, please let us know how you reach the beach. What's different about Staley now? Anything you want to share?
So Staley, after everything had happened, ended up going to school in New York City. She wanted to be in a city with as much people and as much going on as possible, because being in a place where everyone knows everyone and there's a lot of space and there's a lot of potential for things to happen without anyone being around was so terrifying to her. She decided to move to one of the busiest cities that she could think of to feel a little bit more safe, ironically. So she ended up going to school in New York City and became a filmmaker. With all of this that happened to her, it kind of sparked this weird, grim, creative inside of her, and now she makes, ironically, horror films. But she arrives on the ferry with her bicycle, and she casually just like wheels her bicycle off the ferry, lights up a cigarette, gets on, and starts doing that casual, like, no hand bicycle, riding throughout the city, or throughout the town rather, to get towards the beach area, the lighthouse, and then gets off her bike and ends up just like putting it on a rock and kind of starts walking down where she sees everybody. But the only thing that's different about her, she wears different glasses. Her hair is shorter and now red. And the way that she dresses is very like comfortable but imposing. So like she does her makeup essentially well. She's always put together now. She has this air about her, like if you look at me the wrong way, I'm going to punch you. But besides that, still very much like old Staley, 15-year-old Staley.
And do you see ahead of you Jay walking down, almost caught up now with Ren, who's just kind of staring out of the water, and a little further closer to shore, almost right at the lapping waves, is Gigi just kind of wandering. This train of ghosts from your past, all gathered here, just like you promised, but not together, not reunited, not yet. Let's introduce Jacob. Same thing. I just want to know, how does Jacob get here, and what does he look like, and anything you want to share about him now.
Jacob has had, in the last hour, a few encounters with the others without realizing it. For starters, Jacob's car cuts up Jay's car coming off the ferry. Neither of them know that they were sat next to each other on the ferry ride. Jacob stayed in his car the entire time, and he has tinted windows the same, except his is a very low-slung, fantastic car of some kind, but it's flash. It's a two-seater, and he pulls off at a little bit of speed and makes his way down the street. As he's driving through town, I imagine that as he's making his way in, Ren pulls past, or they pass each other in the street again. She pulls into the orphanage, and Jacob is not paying attention. He's trying to call someone, which he shouldn't do, obviously, but he's trying to call someone on the high street. And as he does so, his car hits that same fucking pothole that has been there. Because he's got a flash car, he's got low-profile tires. They're very thin, very skinny tires, and it just cracks the wheel, the front right wheel of his car, and he has to pull his car over. So he gets out, he calls to try and call someone to get it towed, but there's no one about, so he goes for a walk. And he now arrives quite tired, actually, having walked all the way from the street, having tried to go to the fire station to get a tow, and then realizing that there's nobody about, he heads slowly towards where he remembers the lighthouse being, and gets himself a little bit lost, and is about to give up on the whole endeavor when he hears the bicycle pass him. And heading in the direction that he hears the bicycle and someone going by. He catches Staley sort of like in the distance, doesn't realize it's her, but sees someone and finds the path again. So he's had a bit of a journey. His car is still on the high street with the hazards on, locked. As for how he looks, Jacob got his act together at some point. He kind of vanished for a couple of years, lost all contact with everyone. And popped up out of the blue, doing very well for himself, and got in contact with Gigi, and seems to be doing okay. He's wearing a nice suit, nice shoes, and a big winter coat, and he is walking, hands thrust in pockets, over towards the rest of the group.
Just a couple of moments after Jacob gets out of his car and thrusts his hands in his pockets, let's introduce Meryl. So, Meryl, how did you get here? What do you look like? What do you want to share?
Interior convenience store day. Close up on a rack of unfrosted honey buns as a hand reaches in, grabs two, and then after a moment reaches back in and grabs two more. White text fades up that says, "Just outside Allentown, Pennsylvania," and legs in black slacks and nice boots make their way out into the gas station parking lot outside the Food Fast towards a 1964 black Cadillac DeVille with the top up, pointed north. And these legs get inside, start this thing, and Long White Cadillac by Dwight Yoakam plays as we get the big helicopter shot, which starts every movie made from about 1979 to 1999, by the way. Just certainly every other movie with Billy Crystal in it. Big helicopter shot they spent a lot of money on, following this car going down the highway north to Maine, passing road signs, and then quietly the car creeps up. He passes by, the DeVille passes by the old gross #1 location on the island, which is now a closed CVS, then makes its way to the old orphanage. And as Stagger Lee by Lloyd Price cues up, and the moon was yellow, and the leaves came tumbling down, which is playing loud enough that you can mostly hear it outside the car. You know, when someone's clearly listening to the radio way too loud inside their car, you can basically hear it all around. So this DeVille pulls up in front of the orphanage and sits closed with the windows up for an uncomfortably long time before the engine gets killed and the legs step out, and Meryl steps out and looks at the orphanage. He's shaved his head. He's in a black custom fedora and old retro Ray-Bans, and he's in a long black duster, and his boots crunch on the gravel as he starts to take a slow walk around the old orphanage, around the back to the lighthouse.
You get through, crunching through the snow, just in time to see, I think, Jacob speed past you in his car as you're kind of stepping out of the road, and some of that snow splashes up into your face, and Jacob doesn't notice you. You continue to follow down to the lighthouse and arrive just as Jacob steps out of the car and thrusts his hands in his pockets. And Gigi, I think at this point, something pulls your gaze away from the ocean, away from the water just for a moment. Maybe it's the breeze. You look up and there are ghosts in the snow, these people from your past, all here, all gathering, every one of you, just like you all promised 10 years ago.
And I think Gigi, in time with whoever decide, exhales, and you can just see the physical sag. And she'll take a couple of steps like back towards them, but it becomes clear that she's just gonna wait there on the beach for them.
If Ren sees Gigi do that, she'll start. I think she'll just be like taken over by like nostalgia. She'll run to her. Like she misses her.
And I think as Ren gets closer, Gigi opens up her arms like a parent seeing their toddler run at them in the playground, just ready. And she'll hug her sister as Birdie kind of collides, I imagine, bodily, and then kind of gives her a gentle squeeze and rubs her back.
Yeah, Ren would hug her back, and she would do the thing where like she's hugging around her neck and like she'll just like pet the back of her head. She'll, just every sign of affection that she can show to Gigi to let her know that like she cares about her and she missed her, she would do.
And I think half laughing, half like trying not to have the happy tears, she kind of says, I always forget how tall you are.
Only you're the one that says that. No one else thinks I'm that tall.
You're just taller than you were.
I'm grown up now, so are you.
Shh, don't tell people that.
How have you been?
Good. And she kind of like wipes her eyes to tidy up any mascara that's smudged, and she kind of checks Birdie's face and wipes probably a little bit for Birdie. And she kind of looks around the beach. It's fucking cold. I can't believe everyone's here.
It's crazy. The last time we were here, that doesn't matter. It's good to see you. It's so good to see you.
You too. And she kind of squeezes Birdie's hands and turns to look at the others.
I think Staley would be kind of coming in at this point, putting her bike down and just kind of like leaning it against the snowy rock. She's wearing like dark blue jeans, black Doc Martens, and then like a bomber jacket. Like finishing her cigarette, she'll like flick it out and like pop a mint in her mouth real quick, and then just kind of like briskly walk up to the other two and throw arms around them, like, and give them 2 hugs at the same time, and just say, "Oh, it feels so good to see y'all. It's been a really long time."
I mean, Ren would hug Staley back just as hard as she hugged Birdie. I mean, she's happy to see her.
Imagine that as Jay's sort of walking down, I think that maybe Jacob catches up at some point, and Jay sort of looks at him, says, "My driver says you drive like an asshole."
How you doing?
All right. You look like you're doing well.
I've done worse. You look like you're doing well too. Glad to see it.
Yep. He just takes a long drag on the cigarette and consciously puffs it away from people. He's still he's still a bit of Jay, but sort of comes down. And so, what are you up to these days? It's been what, 10 years? We last talked?
Yeah, almost 10, maybe a little more. It's kind of ironic, but I sell houses. Figure we never had one, so.
right at that moment, the wind off the ocean, off the frozen shore, blusters and whips wildly. It passes just in a moment, but all of you feel it in your bones. And a piece of the frozen ruins of the lighthouse that have kind of collapsed inward, one of the high-hanging pieces breaks off and falls and smashes into the snow.
Fuck, that thing's as dangerous as it's ever been.
Speaking of dangerous, you think Meryl's gonna show up? I didn't bring a bulletproof vest.
Jay sort of just pauses. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, I think at that point, like with the crashing of the piece from the lighthouse and then them kind of coming up, I imagine at the same sort of time, Staley kind of turns around to see both Jay and Jacob and like does one of those like, well, okay then. And then like walks up to both of them and gives them both the same types of hug that she gave Ren and Gigi. And then kind of like rubs Jacob's back and in both their ears says it's really good to see y'all.
It's good to see you too. It's really good to see all of you. How have you been? I know I haven't been great at staying in touch. I'm sorry.
You're here now. That's all that matters.
It's almost like we never left. And yet, somehow is completely different.
I really considered not coming back. I actually wasn't sure, but if I was going to, up until about 2:30 yesterday afternoon.
It's probably a dumb idea that we're here, but we're here.
Yeah.
And in good news, we're not stuck here anymore. Unless the ferry breaks down, of course.
Oh, don't say that. Now you know what's gonna happen.
Well, there are worse people I could be stranded with.
I think right as you say that, Meryl appears behind the group, having arrived last.
Is this the 5
like-
o'clock fried potato and crab and potato pickled crab, whatever the hell giveaway?
I think hearing that, Ren would like just hear Meryl's voice and just be so happy that he didn't even know about pickled crab potatoes, that she would just like turn and like run to him and like give him a hug. I think she's so nostalgic.
Oh.
She just like wants these people like close to her.
I think, Staley would turn around and be like, "Oh, you freaking piece of shit." You would say something like that.
Oh, and let me tell you, that is an honor being called a piece of shit by such a rare talent as this one. I've got Blu-rays in my car right now that you are going to sign, my friend, and a Fangoria magazine that I tracked down special for the interview. I don't even want to get into it. It's marvelous.
We'll
to
talk
see you.
later. We'll
It's
talk
marvelous.
later.
to see you. You can let go of me now. Everybody looks great, by the way. Look at this one. Look at this one over here. What's going on here, high and tight? You about run me over with your Lexus. How do you like it, by the way? Now you're gonna let me drive it around the block and nearly dusted me with it.
I mean, I'd let you drive around the block, but well, oh God, I don't know why I thought bringing my car was a good idea.
We're bringing it in. We're bringing it in. Look at you. You're not talking your way out of this one. Come here. Come here. You need this. I can tell you need this. Look at you. Hey, you won life. Look at you. You're driving the big car. You look like $1.5 million. Smile. It's a beautiful day.
You
James,
do look very
you look
handsome.
good too.
As Meryl
like
goes to
your
hug him, as Meryl goes to hug him, he does the finger guns to Meryl's gut.
Oh, I'm ticklish. Don't do it. Come here. Get in here. Don't
And
shoot.
he hugs him. He just hugs him.
Don't shoot. I have nothing but
How about-
plowshares.
How about we both agree no guns? Seem fair?
I hate guns. I quit the NRA years ago, but that's a whole other story. I want to say hi to this one. Listen, could we get some more coffee at this table, please? And some more bread. My parents are going to have an argument in the parking lot, and we want to make sure everybody can see it.
I think Gigi gives Meryl like a half smile, but she then kind of turns her back on him to look towards the lighthouse. Sure, it's great to see you, Meryl. Coffee coming right up.
Oh, come on. I'm just funning you. Come here. Come here, Elizabeth. You look wonderful. I, attempts to give you the European half peck on the cheek. This business here. This business. Oh, I have a special guest. Hang on just one second, please.
Does Meryl have children in game?
Gigi, while we're waiting for him to get back, why don't you go ahead and roll me an empathy check?
Empathy.
Remember
Look down
your
at
minus
clock.
2.
I still got time.
You still have time.
I have 1 die on this because we can't go below 1.
Does she have to roll because I'm smooching her?
No.
I got a 2, so that's a fail.
2.
Done.
So he goes in to give you the European kiss on the cheek, and you're kind of looking out over the lighthouse. And you see it just for a moment. And then you're pulled away by the kiss. Just this sort of low hanging red fog. It's kind of seeping out of the skeletal ruins of the building. It's gone when you look back a moment later, but it was there.
I think the sight startles Gigi, and then Meryl suddenly being in such close proximity startles her even more, and she just reflexively pushes him away from her. And
Okay.
she kind of then begins to walk away down the beach to get her space back, like constantly glancing back towards that lighthouse. She's muttering to herself something along the lines of "fuck you, Meryl."
It's cold. You all can feel it now. Those who've been walking instead of driving can feel it worse. It's morning, but it's not going to get much colder or much warmer today. And the snow is continuing to fall. There's nothing here. Just the ruins of an old building, these people you promised to meet, though you can't remember why you made that promise. You just remember that you did. It's a bizarre feeling, and you're all feeling it to some extent, however you reconcile with it. But as the wind comes over the water, Gigi starts to walk away. You all just feel cold, no matter how warm you feel about seeing each other again. You literally could not survive out here indefinitely.
Looking around at everyone and feeling a little awkward. There's a little bit of uncomfortableness about Jacob. There's lots changed, a lot hasn't. And he looks to those around him and tries to lighten the mood slightly by saying, all those years there was that fancy sodding coffee shop. One time I can actually afford to go buy us all a cup of coffee there. And is it open? No. But he will kind of try and almost urge people to follow after Gigi, giving her a little bit of like respectful space. But yeah.
I think that if Gigi walked off, Ren would kind of look at her longingly, like she wanted to do something, but it's been so long that she doesn't know what to say to her anymore.
I think that Jay sort of hangs near the back of the group. I think he just naturally moves a little bit slower than everyone else, but he's also been trying to avoid and, you know, keep the hugs and good feelings to a minimum around him. And I think maybe as everyone starts walking that way and Jay sort of pulls up next to Meryl. You are a very difficult man to get a hold of. Meryl Gross.
As I live and breathe. It's Jay himself. You're the bionic man. Look at you. You're hanging in there. Are you a hugger? Has this changed? Can I do the side hug? How about the side? How about the shoulder side hug there?
Jay's
It's good to see you.
It is nice to see you as well, Meryl.
Yeah. Good.
We should talk later. I want to ask you.
Okay. You're gonna have to speak up. You want to ask me something?
Later. Perhaps once we're off this damn island.
Later. I love it. I love it. We'll lunch.
Grab dinner
right?
or something.
Dinner.
I mean, I don't think we can get. I don't think that we can get a ferry off this island until 5 or 6.
Yeah, no, I googled it. No hotel rooms, no motel rooms, no basements, no rooms at the inn here on the island. So
you couldn't pay me enough money to stay here.
As you say that, all of you hear one yip, a bark from the woods, and then another, a baying of what sounds like a number of dogs, loud, wild, not far. Staley, you failed a desperate roll back before the break, and I wanted to wait until now to ask you, now that our lights have gone out and our clock has clicked over to the desperate hour, who do you want to give the spotlight to in this moment?
I would like to give it to Gigi.
Okay. Gigi, you've wandered off away from the group after seeing that mist. You're 50 feet away down the shore, and just like with the others, you hear that wild baying, barking from the woods. I want to know either a memory, a feeling, a thought, what's going through Gigi's mind right now, and the spotlight's on you.
So I think the barking combined with the red mist puts her into a fear mind state as she remembers the last time a dog had barked, a vicious dog. They had been playing hide and seek around the back of the firehouse. There's a junkyard back there full of the carcasses of vehicles. And the fire department famously breed prize-winning Dalmatians. And a number of these Dalmatians are kind of kept as guard dogs, trained up. and we had been playing out in this van out, like a painter's van, and we'd kind of managed to get the back doors open and climbed in, and Jacob was pretending to drive while Ren was describing where we were going, and we were all kind of playing along in this strange, happy mood when one of the dogs that had been chained up had broken its chain and come barreling towards the car. And it's as she hears these barks, she's remembering how close that dog got, and she kind of shakes the thought away before she finishes the memory. And her eyes are locked on the woods. And in her hand, she's gripping ever so tightly the keys to her car.
I'm frozen there for a moment, and I just want to check in with Staley now. As everyone else is reconnecting and Gigi's walked off, what's Staley doing?
Staley would have run to catch up with Jacob and just kind of like done one of those playful elbows to the bicep area and been like, so look at you look. You look good put together. And then just like joking around, asking questions about, you know, his life, his job, just kind of catching up, you know, while everybody else is kind of paired off and done their own thing. But still following after Gigi, slowly but surely.
I'm curious, how does Jacob respond to that?
Jacob is sort of like walking along, and despite the fact that he's wearing very fine shoes, he sort of will kick a stone along as he's walking, and he's quite open, quite honest. He says, "Yeah, it's been mad, to be honest. Yeah, I guess I just got a lucky break, and things have been on the up and up, and getting there, just put down a deposit on my second house, so looking forward to that. And actually, is it crazy that driving through town, there's a lot of potential here? I mean, real estate wise.
Sure, yeah. Real estate, probably really good here in an island that's terrifying and everyone seems to disappear eventually. You'll do well here.
You would know all about terrifying islands. I actually managed to make the premiere once, and it's the only time I think I've been to the pictures in the last, God, I don't know how long it's been. I just don't have any free time, but I managed to catch the premiere of, I can't remember the name of it. Everyone died at the end, which I feel like doesn't really narrow it down in your stories.
No, but you know, hey, at least you were there. At least you were there. That's really sweet. You should have, why didn't you say anything? I would have came and said hello. I would have caught up with you. It would have been nice to catch up.
Yeah, it would have. I guess I'm just always looking forward and not back, and sometimes miss the now.
Fair?
I
mean, I can try and understand that. I live for the now, I guess.
At that moment that you two hear that wild baying, that barking from the woods, multiple animals. Ren, I want to know where you are right now.
Ren is, I think, forever awkward and anxious. She wants to go after Gigi, but she doesn't know what to say if she would catch up with her. She wants to catch up with everyone else, but she, again, just doesn't know what to say. So I think she's kind of standing there. So who didn't walk off and like form a group?
I think Jay and Meryl are together, and Staley and Jacob are together, and off a little bit further ahead is Gigi, and you can see Gigi. She looks suddenly tense.
Mm-hmm.
She stopped walking for a moment.
did I correlate it with like the baying and the barking?
Yeah.
I think that if I had heard the baying and the barking and I had been with Gigi that day, that had happened because we were, playing together behind the firehouse. I think that she would get off of her like rock or like leave the area that she was on the beach and start to approach Gigi. She'd do it slowly again because she's, unsure of herself. She was the youngest when all of this happened, so I think she always has that like younger sister feeling where she doesn't know if she's doing the right thing. She doesn't know how to like approach these people, but I think the barking would have struck something in her, and seeing Gigi react to it would have brought her back to that same memory behind the firehouse. So I think that she would start approaching her.
As you kind of push to kind of catch up in the woods, towards Gigi through the snow. Gigi, you have that flash, that memory. It's in the past, and then it's not. Is that dog, that same dog with the broken chain around its neck, rushes out of the woods. You can hear amongst the other barking deeper in. This dog is growling ferociously. It's running on all fours through the snow relentlessly. And you can swear it's that same dog. The exact same chain, just like you remember, rushing straight towards you as you grip your keys in your pocket.
And I think she becomes aware that Ren is approaching, and instinctively she just moves whole bodily in front of Ren. And she's back on that beach looking for a weapon again, and she grabs a pebble and she just yeets it at this dog as hard as she can, yelling for it to get. Trying to divert it.
And it's charging straight at you through the snow. And Ren, as you're moving ahead, everyone else sees this too, but Gigi sees it first, and then Ren sees it. So you're getting closer to Gigi, and this thing's running through the snow, and you reach down into the snow 2 feet down. You pull up a frozen rock. It's about the size of half a baseball. It's cold in your hand, Gigi. Go ahead and roll me a desperate grit roll.
Okay, desperate grit. Alright, I get 2 to start. I will be down to 1 because of our nighttime shenanigans. But I'm going to use that one that we were donated. Oh, it's that side. I think that was from Kai Hawkeye, so thank you. So I'm going to roll 2 dice.
All right, you need a 5.
A 5 or a 6, right?
Yep.
2 and a 3. Wait, I had the spotlight, right? Can I reroll?
You do. You have a reroll. You can use your reroll. Now you can re-roll 1 dice.
Only one. Only one.
Yeah.
No. No. There's a 2 and a dice on the floor, so no.
Ren, you're almost caught up with Gigi as you see this thing running through the snow, and she digs down into the snow, and she pulls up a rock and she throws it. She tells it to get. The rock sails off and sinks into the snow as this thing runs much faster than she was anticipating, and it's almost on you, Gigi, when there's the resounding, thunderous sound of a shotgun in the air. It splits the air, and this dog stops, turns around, it yelps, and it runs off the opposite direction. The rest of the bang stops, and a figure steps out of the woods holding a shotgun in a hand. And you recognize him, even though he's 10 years older, much skinnier, no longer well-built or quite so dashing. He looks haggard and hungry, a beard on his face, but you can see it in his eyes. You'd recognize him anywhere. Gigi, it's your dad. It's Doug Binks. In dirty clothes, covered in snow, shotgun in hand. He steps out of the woods staring in disbelief at you. And there's a sort of madness in his eyes. And he says, "Oh, you shouldn't have come back. You shouldn't have come back." And that's where our story ends tonight.
Classic ending where we all just have a moment. Thank you so much, Don, for the wonderful game tonight. Let's go around, check in, and see how everyone is doing. And let us know where we can find you on the internet and all of that good stuff. Let's begin over on the top of the right-hand side with the wonderful Ray. How you doing, friend?
Hey, I'm doing all right. I'm very stoked to get into 2020 characters to kind of feel them out and see how they correlate and are different from our 2010 versions of ourselves. I'm very excited to start getting into that. But besides that, like, still terrified, still don't know what's going on. And I'm excited for everything. I love it so very much. Playing every week is great with this crew. But I'm Ray. I play Staley. You can find me at With a Brick almost anywhere on the internet, 2Ks. And yeah, I love this game. I love this group. And I can't wait to see what ends up happening.
Awesome. And dropping down to the dashing, Josh. Good in your suit, sir.
Thank you very much. This has been a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun, like, to get the changeover and see everyone and the differences, and y'all blew me away. I love everything. Everyone's great, and I love the development and how there was that genuine palpable awkwardness that, like, it comes from reunions that I really felt, but like it was so good and warming. The music was amazing. The production in this episode has been fantastic. So massive shout out to behind the scenes. But as for me, you can find me roleplayers_TV at most places on the internet. You can find me on Wednesday over on Tales from the Grim, where I play Aris of Gesso, who is a witcher and is much better at handling spooky shit than I am. He can, like, do stuff, and I can't. So that's me. But check me out on Twitter if you want to find out where I'm going to be, and look forward to seeing you.
Awesome. Definitely check out that Witcher game on our very good friend's channel, Tales from the Grim. They've got awesome content over there. And hello to Miss Lydia. Hi, friend.
Hello. Wow, this was so good. I think that this is probably going to be the first game that ever, like, makes me cry on the internet, and I can't wait for it. I think my favorite moment tonight was probably when I tackled the guy with the bag over his head, because that's not like anything I would ever do, but also I think as a 14-year-old, just like terrified for her best friend, I think it was probably what you would do, you know? I don't know. I've been trying to think back to what I would do while I was reading teen magazine as a 14-year-old, and it's hard. Anyways, I'm Lydia. You can find me on the internet at Lydia Heals, on Twitter especially, posting pictures of my large dog mostly. It will also tell you if you can find me in an RPG stream. Anyways, thank you, Dawn, for the game. Thank you, Charlie, for all of your hard work behind the scenes. Thank you, everybody, for just being awesome. This was so much fun. I love this game every week. I needed this. Thank you so much.
And Tommy, how you doing down there?
Well, I think Jay is still alive. Who knows? But that was such a great moment, like transition moment, to end with that sort of like all the Lighthouse stuff coming down, and then we just come back and it's 10 years later. And we're playing with that. No one really knows what happened then, and I'm just loving this so much, and being able to tell the story with all of these fantastic people, and just our absolute commitment to the screaming our heads off teenagers who don't know what's going on. I'm looking forward to our next session. Yeah, I'm Imperator Pengu on the Twitter sphere. You can find me on Saturdays over on Salty Sweet Games. Saturday mornings, mornings for me, afternoon for everyone else, but 12 p.m. Eastern, playing Call of Cthulhu, Pulp Cthulhu specifically, and I'm also a teenager over there, so right now, so it's just all the spooky teenage horror stuff for me. But yeah, can't wait for next session.
Nothing wrong with being stuck in a bit of perma regression when it comes to TTRPGs. Please do go and check out Salty Sweet Gaming. They do amazing stuff over their whole variety of indie and mainstream RPGs. Trav, you did something big with WebDM this week that I want to talk about real quick before we get into your outro, and that's Henchman came out this week.
It did.
Congratulations.
It did.
It was amazing. Or it is amazing.
Thank you. I got an hour and a half of sleep the night before it came out. It's got a lot of moving parts. It features a cast entirely of characters that are 1 3/4 inches tall, which was tricky to shoot, to say the least. And I'm really proud of it. And Lydia was a huge help. She took great notes. And I had a blast. And thank you for mentioning it, Charlie. I'm proud of it. I'm glad people are liking it.
Please go and check that out on the WebDM at YouTube right after you're done watching this if you're on YouTube, or right after you're done watching this if you're on Twitch. It's great.
Yes.
Trev, where can we find you and all of that good stuff?
Wow, thank you for the plug. You can find me on page, since half a Salty Sweet is Kiana, who is running Teenagers from Outer Space tomorrow morning with me and Lindy and Greg. And there's a mystery guest, and it is my spotlight episode, and I'm a huge fan of the movie, the 1959 classic Teenagers from Outer Space, starring David Love. And I'm playing a teenager in that game too, though he's clearly in his mid-30s. And so there's a mystery guest. I think I know who it is, but I don't know for sure. So you'll want to tune in tomorrow morning, 8:30 Central. God help us. Get some tricks, get some Lucky Charms, have a Saturday morning cartoon, treat yourself, put your feet up, and watch Teenagers from Outer Space. This game is amazing, and I'm not done. I loved being snubbed by Gigi. I love that Staley's a filmmaker. I love that Jacob looks like $1 million but is a complete wreck. That's fantastic. I love that Ren is like our Kitty Pryde and is just awesome and tackled the bad guy. And I love that Jay is going to try and blackmail Meryl, which I'd like to see him try it. So this is going to be good times next week. And thank you for this. Everybody be safe out there and take care.
And I can only echo that. Dawn, RGM for Friday nights. Friday Night Frights with Dawn.
Wow. Yeah, I love this session. The beginning was really tense. I maybe the most tense any of our usually our sessions end really tense, but this one started really tense and it stayed that way for a while. What I think I loved the most about this session, there are two things, and they're so dichotomous, they're so different. I loved seeing the choices when everything's happening so fast. It's action, action, action. You've got this crazy madman, this figure, you don't know who he is, out there trying to kill you. You've got like all of these things happening all at once. And the only time you have is just to make split-second decision after split-second decision. Who do you protect? What do you care about? What do you do? When are you selfish? And I thought everybody made amazing decisions that spoke so much about their characters and their relationships to each other. And this is, beyond being a horror game, it's really a game about a bunch of orphans' relationship to each other, their family. That's everything. And that came out in the action. And I thought, Tommy, when you were dealing with that stuff at the beginning, up on top of the lighthouse, you could have done anything with all of those truths. You could have made it easier for your character or whatnot, but you chose to dig deeper into the horror, and that's how the game wants to be. Like, if you want to dig deeper into the horror, I'll go there with you. If you want to dig into the other stuff and you have narrative control, let's go there. And so when we came back after the time skip and we got to see everybody's differences, we got to see their first kind of conversations with each other. That was so much different, and it was so lovely. And so I'm excited next week. I'm excited to see us continue to explore 2020. I'll say we haven't seen the last of 2010, but we're gonna stick in 2020 next session and see what else we can find out about the future or the present. But yeah, that's it. You're all great storytellers. I love every time we get to play. It's such a joy to me. I'm really, really enjoying Friday nights. So thank you all very much. Thank you, Charlie, for putting this together. And thank you, everybody in chat, for hanging out, everybody watching this on YouTube, for catching up on VOD. All of your comments, anything you say, like, that means a lot to us. This is an original game. I want to continue working on it. I want to continue to expand it and build on it, because I think there's, something here that's kind of cool, and I want to explore that. So thank you all very much. You can find me on Twitter. Anything I do, it'll go there. Streams, games I'm working on, and all that. But yeah, this is what I needed. Good Friday night. Thank you.
Awesome. A massive thank you to Don, who did a lot of work on the World Anvil, where you can find the rules, characters, a ton of information on Pretty Marsh Harbor, the island. And it's amazing. The links will be down below if you're on YouTube. If not, they're over in chat right now. If you'd like to be involved with any of our games, please do consider joining our Discord. I currently have an open casting call for a D&D game on Wednesdays, and new casting calls will be going up all the time as we approach a brand new season for May, June. I would like to mention right now, I haven't mentioned it anywhere else, next Friday will actually not be a Friday Night Fright with Don. We will be taking flight and boldly going into a galaxy far, far, far away with Greg from Tales from the Grim and an all-star cast for our own little Mandalorian-inspired adventure, and that will be at 6 p.m. EDT next week. Then we will be back for all the more Seawall. So yes, that is going on. Very excited. And a reminder that on Sunday at 3 p.m. Eastern, we have our charity stream, which is raising money for Doctors Without Borders. It's a monthly meat grinder. We have 12 victims lined up and ready to be ground into the dirt by DM Corey and his evil machinations. All money donated goes to helping our heroes, whether they're the ones on screen getting ground up or the ones who are, in fact, the Doctors Without Borders. Stay safe, everybody. Take time for yourself. Look after yourself. Check in with your friends. And until next time, try not to roll too many net ones or drop your dice on the floor, because things like to go bump in the night. Take care, everyone.